You know exactly what you like, your favorite foods, the music that makes you feel something, the way you prefer to spend Sunday. And then you fall in love, or maybe just fall into someone, and slowly, quietly, without any single moment you can point to, those preferences start to blur. You find yourself watching shows you don't enjoy, eating at restaurants you don't like, adjusting your schedule, your opinions, your tone. And the strange part is, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like love. But here's what nobody says out loud. Sometimes the people who give the most in relationships aren't the most loving. They're the most afraid. If you've ever looked up mid-relationship and realized you couldn't quite remember who you were before this person, this is for you. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something very human and very old is running quietly in the background of everything you do. Your brain isn't broken. It's following a map it drew a long time ago. And once you understand where that map came from, the whole pattern starts to make a different kind of sense. It usually starts early, not in your current relationship, not even in your first one. It starts in the first relationship you ever had, the one with the people who were supposed to make you feel safe. For some people, that safety was consistent. Love came without conditions. Presence was reliable. And so the nervous system learned connection is safe. I don't have to earn it. But for others, love was something that had to be managed. A parent who was warm one day and distant the next. Affection that appeared when you were useful, compliant, or small enough not to cause disruption. And the child, because children are nothing if not adaptive, learns the rule quickly. If I make myself easy to love, I won't be left. That's not a flaw in a child. That's intelligence. That's survival. The tragedy is that the strategy works. And because it works, it stays. So you grow up. You enter relationships as an adult. And the part of your brain responsible for keeping you safe, the part that learned its lessons in that childhood bedroom, doesn't know that the rules have changed. It still believes that love is conditional, that your needs are negotiable, but the safest version of you is the one who takes up the least space. And so, almost automatically, you begin to shape yourself around the other person. Their moods become your weather. Their preferences become your compass. When they're happy, you feel relief, not just joy, but relief. Because somewhere underneath the love, there's still that old, quiet fear that if you stop being easy, they will leave. This is what psychologists call anxious attachment. But you don't need a label for it. You just need to recognize the feeling, that particular kind of exhaustion that comes not from giving too much, but from never quite letting yourself be fully seen. And this is where it gets interesting, because people who lose themselves in relationships often look from the outside like the ideal partner. They're attentive, accommodating, thoughtful in ways that feel almost supernatural. They remember everything. They anticipate needs. They smooth over conflict before it starts. But underneath that generosity is something that has nothing to do with selflessness. It's self-erasure, and the difference matters. True generosity comes from fullness, from having enough of yourself that you can freely offer some to another person. Self-erasure comes from fear, from believing that the only version of you that is safe to show is the one that never asks for anything back. The giving looks the same from the outside, but it feels completely different on the inside. There's also something else happening, something the nervous system does that makes this pattern incredibly hard to see while you're inside it. When you lose yourself in another person, there's a kind of relief in it. The relief of not having to decide, of having your identity anchored to something external, of knowing exactly what your role is. In a world that can feel chaotic and uncertain, another person becomes a kind of structure, a home you live inside. And even when that home is uncomfortable, it is at least familiar. The brain, at its core, is a prediction machine. It wants to know what comes next. And if what comes next is determined by someone else's needs and moods, if your entire internal world is organized around reading and responding to another person, then in a strange way, you always know exactly where you stand. Even if where you stand is invisible. This is the function nobody talks about. Losing yourself isn't just about love. It's about regulation. It's the nervous system finding a way to feel calm inside the chaos by outsourcing the self entirely. Over time, this pattern shifts. It has to, because you can only disappear for so long before something in you starts to resist. It might come as resentment, that slow, creeping feeling that you've been giving without receiving, though you never quite said what you needed. It might come as exhaustion, a bone-deep tiredness that has nothing to do with sleep. Or it might come as a quiet identity crisis in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, when someone asks what you want and you genuinely don't know. This is the identity shift that happens as you age into the pattern. The strategy that once kept you safe starts to cost you something you can't afford to keep paying. And the self that was suppressed, slowly, quietly, begins to knock. Not loudly, not dramatically, just insistently, in the way that truth tends to. Here is what's worth understanding about the people who lose themselves in love. They are not weak. They are not naive. They are not lacking in self-awareness or intelligence. They are people who learned at a very young age that being fully themselves was a risk they couldn't afford to take. And so they made a calculation, not consciously, not deliberately, but in the deep, wordless logic of a child trying to survive, that love was worth more than selfhood. That calculation made sense then. In the environment where it was formed, it may have been exactly right. The only problem is that most of us are still running that same calculation in environments where it no longer applies, with partners who, more often than not, are not actually asking us to disappear, with love that might actually be capable of holding our whole self, if we ever let it try. So if you recognize yourself in this, if you felt the slow erosion of your own preferences, your own voice, your own sense of where you end and someone else begins, then let this be the thing you take with you. You are not wrong to love the way you did. You are not broken for needing to be needed. You are not too much, or too little, or too anything. You are someone who learned to love in the only language that felt safe. And the fact that you're here, listening, noticing, that's not nothing. That's the self, still present, still waiting. Not to be fixed, just to be recognized.